Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome to another project. In this project we're going to create a simple typewriter effect. And I'm saying simple because there's also in a more complicated way of creating this. We're going to take the easy and simple route in this project. So what are we going to use in this project? We're going to use the DOM selector, getElementByID, let and const, variables, a regular function, if statement, conditional, few comparison operators. From string and numbers, we're going to use the assignment operator, and we're also going to use set and clearTimeout, which will create the effect itself. And for the effect, we're also going to use the array split and shift method. So let me also show you the project, and then after that we're going to jump into it. Now we are going to use also Font Awesome and Google Fonts, but here's the project. So if we hit refresh, this is the effect that we want to create. Alright, so hope you're excited. As I said, simple and short project, but fun. So let's jump into it. Okay, so I just created the empty folder, and now let's create the index.html, and within here let's start creating our boilerplate. Let's give it the title of Typewriter. Okay, and let's start out by first of all including everything that we need. So let's include our Font Awesome kit up here above our metadata. And let's also include from Google Fonts. Let's go to Google Fonts, and I believe I used the Maru. There's one right here, Maru Pop. So let's go to this and select it. Only has the regular font, so 400. I'm going to copy it this time into our HTML. So boom, jump in here. Right after Google Fonts, you can copy it in. And for the body, we will use the font family. So this is the font family. I'm going to copy this. Now, first of all, above our title, I'm going to link up our CSS. So link and style.css. Let's also create this file. So style.css. And let's grab onto our body tag and apply. Whoa. So body tag, what did I just do? Oh, I copied everything. Good job there. So let's jump back in here and apply our font family. Okay, now let's go back to our HTML, and there's not much to this. We're just going to create a general div, and let's give it a class of target. And within this div, we're just going to create a h2, and within here, let's go with an h2. And within here, we're going to type in typewriter effect, or typewriter text effect using JavaScript. And that's basically it. Okay, now let's jump back into our style CSS. And as always, I'm going to perform here a general reset. So let's go star and before and after. Alright, let's reset our margins 0, padding 0, and box size in border box. Now right within our body, I also want to assign it a height of 100 viewport heights. We're going to insert here image, and actually everything that we will have within here is going to occupy the entire image, the entire viewport height. And now let's insert the image. So you can just copy this, and first of all I'm going to create an image folder and drag and drop the image within it. So there's our image. Hello, nice girl. How's your day going? Do you want to be included in our project? Yes, you do. So let's go with the background and type in URL. And now we're going to just choose a target where our image is located. So backslash, I'm going to jump out of here. Hey. /image and the image. Okay, and hey, also let's open this up so you can see what we're doing. Open, and there we go, there's our image. Now this is repeated and this is up here and so far and so on, but we're going to take care of this. So first of all, let's go back to our CSS and let's change this to, let's actually go down here. So background position, we're going to go with center. Background size, we're going to go with cover, contain, cover. And background repeat, we're going to choose no repeat. Okay, now after you do this, we can see our image is in the center of the page and is not repeating itself. Now there's also a shorthand for creating this, so I'm going to comment this out, but I did want for you to have this, and you could just type in after the image center, so for the background position, then slash cover for the background size, and then no repeat for the background repeat, and you should have exactly the same effect. Okay, now let's position this one right here. And now that I think of it, so let's go to HTML and let's also give this a, I forgot to give it an ID. ID of, and this should be container. What did I name it? Target container. Sorry about that. So container, and we will have here Typewriter. Okay, so the ID of this div will be Typewriter. Now let's first of all take care of our container. So we're going to go into our CSS, target the class of container, and want to position it relative first of all. And now we can push it down from the top with 40%. Now this really depends on the open viewport that you have. So for this, yeah, maybe it's a bit more, 45%. We'll take care of this. So let's first of all start up with 40%. Now from left and right, we're going to choose margin and we're going to assign auto. And this will also give it from the top a auto margin, but left and right is first of all very important. So it's going to be positioned center of the page, but as soon as we also give it a width. So let's go with a max width of, let's say, where we are in a large size container now, but let's start with the small one. So let's say 600 pixels, and let's start with the font size of 5 rem. Now this is pretty large. Let's go with 4 rem. Let's see. Yep, much better. Now you can see the container right here. This is actually thought to be, let's hit inspect. So this is thought to be for something like this, for an iPad, for a max viewport of 1024 pixels. And even in here, we could decrease this to 3.8 rem. And increase this to, let's say, 700. Okay. But we are in a large container, so let's use a media query and let's say screen. We don't even need screen, so let's just go with a min width of 1024 pixels. So when we exceed 1024 pixels, I want our container class container to have a max width of 1400 pixels and a font size of 8 rem. Okay, so let's hit save. Now if I go back to responsive, so to the responsive, you can see this changes, and as soon as I smush it together, it's going to be, the press it together is going to be much smaller. So let's close this up, and here's a typewriter using JavaScript. And let's make it just a tinge smaller, even, let's say 7 rem. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so we got this out of the way. Next up is our JavaScript. So let's first of all create our file. Let's call it main.js and also include it in our HTML. So right before our body, not within the div. What am I doing? Go back there. So let's start with script and main.js. Now let's jump into our JS file. And first of all, we're going to take hold of our ID here. So we're going to take hold of our container of Typewriter. So I'm going to copy this Typewriter, go into our JavaScript, and I'm going to set it as a let. So let's say let text document getElementByID. And we're going to use here the ID of Typewriter. Now I'm setting it as a let because I'm going to change it. So I'm using let and not const here because the text value will change. And as you know, const cannot be changed, but let can be changed. It can be reassigned. So first of all, we're going to create now a const. I'm going to call it text array. Now from this variable of text that we just created, we want to grab onto the text content. Okay. Now let's first of all hit save and let's console log this. Let's open up our console here. Let's use F12. Should I leave it on right side? Yeah, I can leave it here. This is a bit too small, so let's zoom in here a bit. So what will happen if I console log this text array, first of all, which we assigned to the text? Let's try it this way, first of all. So text, console log our text, and there's the div, okay? Now, if I type in here dot text content, text content is going to only select the content. So only select the text content from our element. Now, because we have here a string, we could use a method on it called split. And the split method divides the string into an ordered list of substrings. And it puts those substrings into an array and then returns that array. So let's try this. So let's call the method split. And as soon as I hit save, well, first of all, we're going to get this. It's going to return the string. But now I can tell it how should it split it up. And let's say I use a empty string within here. So with a space, let's hit save. Let's go back to our console. Now you'll see it's going to split up each and every space of our text. So type, space, text, space, effect, using JavaScript. Okay, so each time we have a space within it, it's going to cut it. Now if I tell it to ignore the spaces, but use each and every word, let's see what we get. We get this beautiful string. Okay, so it's going to take each and every letter. Okay, so now that we got this, this also means you can see here we have a few spaces. And when we're going to iterate over this string, it's going to also use these spaces to have a bit of a delay effect. Now we could select within, if I would use here query selector and select from the ID of Typewriter the H2, so go, maybe we're going to do this at the end, or maybe we're going to let you do it yourself. That's even a better idea. You'll see what the difference is. So instead of this, you should do, actually, could do this here. Now I'm doing this text because I'm reassigning its value. So I'm going to use query selector. I'm going to select from the ID of Typewriter the H2. Okay. Now if I take a look in here, you can see I'm only getting the H2. So it's the same thing, but I'm only getting the H2. But I want to have this up here for that delay effect, because it's going to use these spaces in order to have a delay before it starts to type. Okay, let's leave this as it is. Now I'm going to initiate a let called timeLooper. Looper. Okay, so I'm just going to initiate this variable. I'm going to leave it as it is. Now I'm going to take my text and change it. So the ID of Typewriter that we just grabbed onto, I'm going to change its value by selecting its inner HTML. I'm going to assign it to an empty string. Now, if I console log this text right here, let's see what we get. Well, we will get nothing. We'll just get the container, but you see it's empty. It has no, the div has no h2 in it. And why am I doing this? You can also see it on the left side here, because I want, when it appears, to have that effect of pum pum pum, delay, 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 and then first letter, second letter, and so far and so on. Okay, so I'm erasing everything, and then I'm reintroducing it by using something, and let's do this right now. So first of all, we're going to create a function. There is the keyword function, and let's say I'm going to call it Typewriter. Typewriter effect. Did I just misspell Typewriter? There we go. Okay, and we're going to pack this into a if statement. Now we're going to say that if this text array that we created up here, dot length, so the length of this array, is larger than 0, and now we're going to use the addition assignment operator, so that plus equal, and this will add the value of the right, and this will add the value of the right operand to a variable and assign the result to a variable. So let's say that the text, we're going to grab onto our text, which is now empty, so it's in our HTML. We're going to add on by using the plus equal, so the assignment operator. We're going to add on the text array that we created up there, and now we're going to use the shift method. Now the shift method removes the first element from the array, because if we take a look in our array, this is the array, okay? If we add this to this, well, we didn't solve anything. And let's first of all do this. Did I hit save? Oh, we also need a time loop. And else, let's also use our else. And here we'll use our clearTimeout method. And this method will, well, it will just clear a setTimeout method, which you don't have yet. So we're going to use the clearTimeout. And this will take in a variable, which we will create down here. Now this variable we're going to call time loop, which we created up here. We initiated this time looper. Now we're going to assign it a value. Now this value will use the setTimeout method. And the setTimeout method, let's say, is going to take in a string of loop. And then we're going to use the math method. Okay, for the math method, we're also going to use math.floor. And within the math.floor, we're going to use a random method. So I don't want, as you saw the typewriter effect, it has a bit of a, let's go in here. It's not constant. Let me hit a refresh. The words are not appearing at a constant speed. Okay, so they're having a bit of a delay, and then it's going faster and then slower again. So we can achieve this by using math.floor and math.random. And I'm using math.random in order to achieve a math.random. And we're going to multiply this with a range between 200 and 250 milliseconds. Now let's use this variable within clearTimeout, and now let's go in our finished project. Okay, so you can see it appears and it disappears. Now it's trying to insert the entire string, the entire array, and this is where the shift method comes into place. As I said, the shift method will remove the first element of the array and return that removed element. So let's use it here. Okay, let's hit save, and now let's also initiate this function, because we created this function but we didn't initialize it. I'm sorry. Oh my, what did I do? I should have used the function itself within here. So we are shift timeout, and it's going to go through this function. Is going to create multiply it by this random number. So now we can see our effect happening here. Okay, so as I said, if I would take out this shift, So let's just delete this, hit save again. You see, let's hit the refresh, then it just appears, okay? And right here, you can see also our spaces that we have up here. So let's hit save again and add our shift method. And now we have our typewriter effect. Let's also close this. Okay, that's it. That's it for this project. So hope you enjoyed it and catch you next time. Bye-bye.